All right, guys, good morning. So, we're going to go back to the topic of, you know, how LGBT people can create a, you know, opportunity for themselves career wise. Um, Now, I'm not going to go into some like place that's not realistic, but I do think we do have to talk about mindset. Um, 'Cause if you think about how mindset affects you, like I can even think about it for my day today, right? So say if I have even a simple goal, simple financial goal, maybe it's make on top of whatever I'm gonna make an extra however much amount of money, right? Like what does that take? Make an extra, I don't know, let's say $25, you know, keep it a number that is doable. Um, on top of whatever I'm going to be making, on top of everything that I have to do already that's like etched into, whatever my calendar has me doing on, it's Monday right now, so Mondays. Um, and then also trying to preserve that balance, either improving it or, maintaining whatever it is that is balanced and trying not to let things get like so off track. Because, every time if something extra is being added, sometimes, you know, sometimes we do have to say, okay, what is not a necessity for today? Mark that off the list. Do it another day. Because some days you literally cannot cram in more than what you already have. So I can take a day like today, a morning where, I woke up like 5:41 a.m. I could feel that's what time it was because that's what time I wake up just naturally. And I woke up a couple times last night around 2 a.m., around maybe midnight, around maybe 10. I think I went to sleep around 10. Yeah, I think I woke up around midnight or something. I wrote it down. I write it down whenever I just wake up. But again, I know that when I woke up, I went back to sleep. I know the last time I saw when I was going to sleep was like 10:06 p.m. Um and so, technically I slept, let's call it about 7 hours 40 minutes minus the little wake ups that I had. Um so I got up, you know, on time, but pretty much the first thing that hit me this morning was like the whole lay back down, sleep in, go back to sleep. You don't need to be up. You don't need to be doing anything. And, but also, my mindset was pretty negative, kind of replaying yesterday, um, and thinking about the things I have to do today that are like extra things that I don't really want to do. And then other things that I want to mark them off the list just because it's something I need to get done, but I don't really want to do those things either. Um, like they're not fun things necessarily, or um, things that are exciting or lead to any kind of introspection or excitement. Um, or anything, right? It's not like inspiring, nothing. That's kind of my opinion about it. Now, could I shift those opinions? Yes. It's always possible, to shift those opinions about things I don't want to do. I mean, one way of doing that isn't really to say, like, oh, like, get yourself up and go, you know, do what you don't need to do and stop complaining and all that. But just looking around, like I live in a city with a lot of different types of people, with a lot of people dealing with a lot of things. Like I can't tell you how many people I see kind of, you know, roaming around with like shopping carts with their belongings. Like I saw someone yesterday with a cart with a kind of like a bed mat on it, and they're walking towards, I don't know where they were going, but they're just like walking down the sidewalk with it, pushing their stuff. I mean, if I think back and I think about that, I'm like, things I have to complain about, you know, the paperwork and stuff I have to do, that's part of things for career opportunities, you know, the little bit of extra money that I'm trying to bring in to reach some other kind of goal. I mean, I'm not thinking about, okay, push the cart to a place where I can sleep and then hopefully I'm fed and hopefully I have, you know, some kind of comfort while I'm sleeping. Hopefully I'll sleep well, not get kicked out, not get, you know, harassed or bothered. I'm not dealing with that kind of, you know, having to, fend for my basic needs, And I'm not saying that just because I don't have that situation that, you know, that I should, automatically love doing things that I just don't want to do. But just that slight perspective is like, okay, that isn't I'm not dealing with that. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that either. I wouldn't want to be dealing with, pushing my belongings down the street with a mattress on top, trying to find a place to post up for the evening. Yesterday it was kind of hot out too. It was like mid 70s. I think that's the person that I saw with something kind of like over their head, probably trying to cool down a little bit. It wasn't like a hat, it was like a cloth or something. And it's like, you know, but it also gets cold at night. So I wouldn't want to be posting up with the mattress somewhere where I'm going to be cold, sleeping outside somewhere, and in LA where it's not ideal to be sleeping outside. Like you're not anywhere that, you know, really has, you know, I don't know, it's a city. It's not built for people to really be sleeping outdoors like that. You know, it's not safe, it's not sanitary. Like I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying, um, there's a lot that the city goes against people who are in that position. You know, it's like I can sleep in a room in my bed and not even sharing a room, having my own door, having my own space and not having to deal with people necessarily. Like, yeah, I can complain about family, but it's like I also have a family. There's things like that that are like, okay, like sometimes it's just a matter of like trying to get a different perspective based on something that I've maybe witnessed or viewed or like seen like in recent days or in recent hours, and just be like, okay, like maybe if I'm comparing my perspective to like someone else, like a friend who has maybe like a really excellent job and like an excellent condo and like, something like that. Or to like some of these people, when I do deliveries. Yesterday I was doing deliveries, and it's like I go to certain people's houses to deliver, and it's like, or their job spots, and I'm like, oh, this job looks great, or like, oh, this, you know, house looks great, or whatever it may be. It's easy to compare, and I think a lot of, the, um, not the, I don't want to call it negativity. Well, it's kind of along those lines of negativity, where a lot of that comes from is like all this comparison, you know. Um, like I'm really not into like flashy stuff, that's not really too much what I'm into. But I mean, it's nice to have nice things. Um, I'd say at one point in time, I probably had a relatively nicer car than most people my age when I was younger. But then I had that car all the way up until 2023, you know. So I had it for like 21 years. So, you know, there was a point where it's like, okay, everyone else's car is now nicer than mine. But it's like I had my time where my car was nicer than everybody else's, but I was way younger. And some of my friends didn't even have cars. Or, you know, um just certain situations. It's like sometimes everybody, sometimes people just have their time where it's like, it's just a period of time where you're going to have this nice thing, but every nice thing deteriorates. You can have a nice house. Eventually, something's going to go wrong with the plumbing or the electric or the roof or something. You know, it's going to just naturally deteriorate. You're going to have to get things fixed. The driveway, whatever. Like our house, my family's house is, um, I'd say it's a nice house. It's old. Um, but at a certain point, it did look pretty rundown for the neighborhood, right? Like we've lived in this house like 20 years or something. It looked rundown for the neighborhood, right? And so, even though it's in a nice neighborhood, we had like a gravel driveway, right? It was like a black gravel driveway. The other side, I can't remember if it was gravel or dirt or something. I think it had like those two concrete tracks that go up, but it had like in the middle it was like dirt. I can't remember what the front yard looked like. We had, those little patches of I don't know if every city has this, but LA has this a lot. There's like a little patch of grass on the opposite side of the sidewalk from your actual like house side, the opposite side of the sidewalk before the curb. There's like a patch of grass that sometimes there's like a tree or something. So we had that little patch of, I don't know if it was grass or dirt or what, this tree that just would drop these leaves all over if you parked curbside right in front of the house. And the yard was big, the inside of the house was kind of run down. We had this old like teal carpet that had probably been there since like, I don't know, a long time. The people who lived here before us smoked, and I remember one time when we left um the house for like a week or two, when we went to like soccer camp and basketball camp, and we left the house for like 2 weeks, and we came back and the house just smelled like smoke because of that carpet. Now it usually didn't because we were living there, but like, that's kind of how it was. And the carpet was just not a nice color. But, so eventually over time, my folks are like, let's renovate this place. They did some work on the outside, got it painted. A couple times, I think we've had repairs to our roof. There was a time when people would come by and just, the people who just kind of like, reach out to people who need help on their house because they can visibly see it. And there was a time where people used to come by, like, often, where they'd be like, you know, hey, like, we do roof repairs or whatever, and do you need an estimate? Like, it would happen like almost at least once a week or so. Somebody would come by asking about the dang roof. And, so things like that, where it's like, well, people can see that it's not getting fixed. Um, there was like a tarp over it or something. And then, um, yeah, the driveway was like black gravel. Everyone else had these nice, like, laid brick kind of outlines and all this. So later on, we get the driveway fixed. We get the retaining wall around the front of the yard kind of remade into something nice, not just some concrete thing. It's actually like brick and squared off and has like a brick trim around it. And it's like, little by little, things look better and better. Um, the gates got fixed, and so we have like proper gates. And then, instead of like those wooden ones where they're all rotted and like halfway leaning into the yard and stuff. And then even inside, the carpet got taken up. Most of the public space is like large tiles, and then the bedrooms don't have carpet, they have wood floors. And the bathrooms got redone, and the only thing that didn't get redone was the kitchen for the most part. And then I think my parents' bedroom floor isn't finished. So, but everything else is finished. Um, but now it's like it's been so long that there's probably gonna have to be renovations eventually again. But it's been so long. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, you know, it's possible to still fix things over time, you know, and it's easy to kind of see like, okay, this isn't working, and just comparing things almost like you would if you look at your house and you're like, oh, this is falling apart, and this is old, and this is messed up, and this is broken, and this is trash, and this other, things are a mess, and just simple things can help, like cleaning where you can, um, just like cleaning up your space. Like the other day, you know, I cleaned. I've been kind of tidying up and cleaning here and there, and not just because I was having company, but just because it's like, I'm part of this health group, and they count things like cleaning as activity, so it's more motivation for me to clean. That is not always one of my strong points, but you know, even having people over and being like, oh yeah, you can like go in my room and like get what you need out of there, or like someone needs the bathroom and it's like, oh, the bathroom's there, and I don't even have to think, oh, it's not like destroyed or like, not clean, or like I don't have to be like, wait, give me a minute to like go in there and like take my stuff and like clean it up, Like it's probably been a while since I've had a situation like that where it's like, if the door's open, like whatever, like if people look inside and see it, I don't really care because it's not really messed up. Um, and that hasn't been really a usual thing for me for like a couple years, probably, you know. Um, and so it's kind of a big thing, I'd say. Um, just not having to be like stressed about it, or like, oh, like somebody saw my room when it was an absolute disaster or whatever, and like it can be a little bit embarrassing, you know. Um, but I don't know, like it's not that it's not that bad. Like right now, it's not that bad. I kind of try. lately when I'm leaving the house to just kind of, pick up my stuff, make the bed, just kind of put stuff away, fold clothes that are kind of left around, and, just kind of pick stuff up a little bit, you know. And then when I come back home, I come back to a room that's kind of neat. I mean, it's not like perfect. There still might be like a cobweb here and like some dust there, but it's like now the next time I have to go clean this week, I'm not going to be like scrubbing the floors and doing all this stuff. Like, it's just like a little bit of dusting, a little bit of like, maybe it's getting a little warm these days, so I can take some of the extra blankets and store them away, stuff like that. Um, and that kind of thing really helps. Like, it seems like it doesn't, but it's like, it really does help. It really does help. And so, even for people who are having trouble with like, getting exercise and all that kind of stuff, one thing I'm noticing is like cleaning really is, it can be a therapeutic thing, it can be a helpful thing, it can help your mindset. Because even just the fact of not wanting people in your space or being like, I can't have people over because it's dirty, or I can't do this, or like it kind of does kind of interfere with your relationships with people like slightly, if you don't like them seeing like some messy side of you, and then you just got like a mess somewhere, you know. And you know it's I think a lot of people have to deal with that, because I visit a lot of people, and it's like, yeah, like, you know I mean, some people are maybe neater than others, but it kind of depends, you know. Um, but so that's like one thing, and I guess um, I mean, it's like a lot of little stuff, really, but that's one thing I've noticed is helpful for me, like, incorporating cleaning as part of like stretching and activity and stuff like that. It's like if I need movement and I need to be getting in steps and stuff, it's like, why not just put you know, that step meter on, or put my phone in my pocket or something, and just, you're still walking around the house and stuff. You're still walking around from place to place, like get the broom, get the Swiffer, walking back and forth, get the trash bags, you're still walking around every day. So, um, I don't know, just having that is, I'd say it's helpful. Um, and it's not really something people think about. Like, I don't really like cleaning. I'll be honest, I don't. I like organizing stuff. That's kind of more fun for me, but like dusting, sweeping, mopping, you know, scrubbing things with sponges and whatnot, like spraying cleaner on things, it's kind of not really my thing. Um, but having a clean space is worth it. And spending like maybe an hour out of the week just picking time to do that, when I'm not on my phone, I'm not listening to audiobooks, I'm not online. Um, I mean, that's just one thing that it's just kind of nice to like. It's almost becoming like a hobby for me, like in a strange way. Like, I don't even like it. I don't even like doing it. Like, I'll be honest, it's not that interesting to me. But it's like just to have that time off my phone. to have that time where I'm like, okay, I'm like lifting this or moving that, and just have that time, you know, is, it's pretty nice, it's pretty nice. And, um, I'd say it's worth it. I'd say it's worth it. I sent some pictures to some friends this week where I was like, oh, like, here's this picture. And I wasn't having to worry about, like, oh, what's showing in the mirror in the background? Is there, like, some kind of mess back there? You know, um, you know, and it might not seem like any of this is related to like career or, other opportunities, but I do think it is, because it's like, think of it, even if you have to do like a Zoom meeting or something. Like, I remember I had to do a Zoom meeting, um, and, the person who was like doing this training or something was like, share your screen with me so I can tell you like what to click. And I wasn't prepared for that, and I had all these tabs open. Like, it was nothing like scandalous or anything, but like, I had all these tabs open and like, for like different browsers and like all these tiles for all these browsers, and all the browsers had like countless amount of tabs, and it's like, because I hadn't gone out and closed out the ones I wasn't really using and stuff like that. And it's like, this person was like in a rush and like talking fast and telling me what to do and trying to tell me click back and forth between stuff, and it was a little unorganized. And I was like, okay, you know, and they kind of suddenly saw my computer, you know, and it's like, this is a mess, It's like, it could have been cleaned up a little more. Had I known I was going to be sharing my computer screen, I would have probably closed out like a whole bunch of stuff and just left it blank so that we could work on what we were going to work on, and I wasn't having to like click back and forth between stuff, you know. Um but it was kind of like on the fly, so I was like, okay, like I didn't have anything to like hide, but it's also like, yeah, if you have a Zoom meeting that you're trying to do and then you're like, oh, I got all this stuff like junk in the background, like I mentioned, I have to do this like health meeting, and you know, it's by Zoom. So, I remember one day doing the meeting, and there's this one person in the group who, in the background, you could see their couch because they were like at a desk, and then behind the desk in the background against the walls, like the couch, and the couch just had like a couple piles of clothes. Like, I'm assuming they were doing laundry. I'm pretty sure they don't keep their clothes just like on the couch. But it's like stuff like that, like if it was like a professional, like an interview or something, like you don't want to have to be worrying about like yeah, you have those like fake backgrounds or whatever that you can put up, but you don't want to have to be worrying about like, can people see spider webs hanging in the background, or like, is there some weird like trash, in the distance, or like, is my closet open and it's like unorganized and people can like see in my unorganized closet, or like whatever. Like, I mean, let's face it, most people do have some area of their life that's not organized, that's messy, that's disheveled, that's dirty. But culturally, it's like, I don't know, I kind of hate to say it, but I'm not the neatest person on earth, so I feel like it's fine to say it. Like, it's culturally not expected that you don't keep things clean and tidy on a regular basis. Like, how many times has somebody suddenly wanted a ride from you, where you're just like, oh, I'm gonna offer you a ride, and then it's like, I gotta like clean off the seats and like take stuff out and like move all the trash, you know? And good for doing it, good for doing it. Like, it's a good idea to do. Um, don't make your friends sit like on your trash in your car and stuff, but it's like, just have to take that couple of minutes to like clean off the seats or whatever. It's like, Well, I clearly haven't been cleaning my car, you know. Um, my car used to be a mess. I had a small car and I used to keep everything in it. And I remember my friends kind of saying once, like, because I used to leave my car in Hillcrest when I would maybe have a couple drinks when I would drive there and then have a couple drinks there. And I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to leave my car because I'd park curbside, go Uber home, and then, come back in the morning, Uber and get my car. And sometimes my friends would be there early and they'd be like, are you out here? Like, I see your car. And I'm like, no, I'm not out here. Just I left my car last night. And then, it's like I didn't have tinted windows or anything. And there's like, you could see there's like junk all over my seats. Like, I used to have like sand in my back seat. Like, the car jack from like one time when I like fixed a tire or something, I never put it back where it needed to go. And I just kind of stuffed it on the back seat. And like some other car parts were like on my back seat. And like probably like some sneakers and like old sneakers and like just random stuff, that's like, okay, put that somewhere else. But, even when people would want to ride in my car, like if it's not just one person, we're not gonna fit. Like, I cannot fit people in my car. um, you know, and so stuff like that. Where it's just like, we're not really, you know, gonna have any situation where you know like you can't have those instantaneous situations where people come over or like you can just give them a ride or like whatever. It's like, oh, like I got this like messy house or messy car, I can't just invite people. You know what I mean? um and even in a work setting, it's like, well, I can't just have an interview or like share my screen or do whatever because it's not organized. You don't want your boss all like involved in that. um you want people to think, that you're at least kind of organized. It's just a better demonstration. Like, of course, not everything's going to be 100% clean all the time, but it helps. Like, you get a better reputation for having cleanliness than you will if you don't. And yes, it's a superficial thing, but, you know, like, you know, being able to clean does show that you're able to do things that you probably don't want to do, that you're, able to organize, that your, mood doesn't really get in the way of you, taking care of your stuff. Um, it's just uh, like it can improve or add to your reputation, and being kind of messier can take away from your reputation, unfortunately. Um, and, for some people, it's kind of like a red flag. Like, I've gotten to people's houses where, they're like, oh, like you can use the shower in the morning, like sleep over and use the shower when you gotta go. And it's like, I didn't even want to use the bathroom. I literally waited and left early and so I could go down the street to use the bathroom in the morning. I left early because I was like, well, Del Taco's are open early. So I left early and went to the bathroom at a different place. Because in the mornings, I usually, go to the bathroom. And so, I woke up, I left early so I could go to the bathroom. And I was like, I'm not taking a shower there, because there was like, it was just not clean. And I remember that happened to us before too. Like, we invited a friend over, and we were having dinner and we knew they didn't have a place to really shower at the time. So we're like, you can just come shower here. And our shower was a mess. And I'm just like, I was like, oh, why don't they want to shower? And I was like, oh, that's why, you know. And I've had people make judgments that came over and were like, oh yeah, your house is messy. And they kind of just were like telling people that, you know, and in a way, I was like, I don't even want to invite you guys over if you're gonna be like talking crap about my messy house. But at that time, it was like, there's five of us living in a house, and none of us really have like a cleaning schedule. It's not that we never cleaned; it's just that we never cleaned all at the same time. So it's like, even if someone is cleaning, there's like four other people messing up things in the background. So there was like no real organization to it. Um, but yeah. So time is it? It's almost time to it's almost time to make breakfast. But yeah, I mean, those are things to consider. I mean, I know a lot of times people don't want to consider that kind of stuff. They want to think about, like, you know, like, how am I going to just like do great things? And it's like, the basics really have to be taken care of, things do have to be in order. It helps to just have like routines of putting things in order. It helps to have, you know, routines of addressing your mindset when it's negative and telling you sleep in. Now, if you need to sleep in, if you're evaluating and being like, okay, I'm actually really tired, I need to sleep in, that's different than I just want to sleep in so I can just forget the stuff I have to do today. It's like, that's not going to help, you know, and the things we tell ourselves do matter. They really do matter a lot, a whole lot. I can't even stress the importance of that. Like, they matter more than almost anything, you know, um, towards what we're gonna do or choices we're gonna make, you know. Um, it matters. It matters. So, just trying to like remember that it's gonna matter, what you choose to do, you know, what you choose to avoid, what you do to feel better about yourself. Even if you don't want to do it, you're going to feel better about yourself. You'll feel better about yourself if you clean. You'll feel better about yourself if you do those tasks that you know are on the to-do list that you just keep bumping to the next day and the next day and the next day. Once you start seeing some movement, you'll feel better about it. You'll feel better if you're getting the exercise. You're going to feel better if you're doing it versus if you're laying there watching Netflix or just like, I don't want to do this, let me sleep back in. Like, if you've slept enough, get up and do the stuff that you have to do. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm an early morning person. I mean, I know I wake up at ridiculous hours, but for me, it's more of like a mindset thing. It's like I do it because I can wake up. I know I have multiple hours that I can do things. And a lot of times it's stuff that I don't even want to do, but there's hours when I can do things that I don't want to do. So I wake up and I do those things. And, ultimately, I'm better off for it. You know, I'm not saying I don't want a podcast, I do, you know, but this morning it was hard kind of getting my mindset right. I was like, oh, there's all this stuff I need to do. I was like, no, wake up and podcast. Like, that's a lot more productive than laying here until 8 o'clock. You know, it was like 5:41 in the morning. Like, what, lay there till 8 o'clock? Or get a little caffeine in me, wake up, podcast, talk about it, you know, do something productive with it. Plan out what I need to do after breakfast, get it done. That's far more productive than laying there trying to forget it creating a game plan around it, you know. I mean, it's only two things I don't really want to do, and nobody else is gonna do them. So, you know, if I don't do them, it's just gonna set me back one more day of not doing them. So, um, and there, there are plenty of people that would love to be in my position having those problems. You know, in reality, you know, there are plenty of people that would probably be like, "Wow, I'd take your situation over mine." You know, and it's really not that bad. The stuff I have to do is not that bad. It's just I'd rather be lazy. I'd much rather be lazy today. I had a busy Sunday. That's probably why. Um, but yeah, if I could do everything I need to do, um, between like today and tomorrow, then I think I'm good. Like, I don't, because I'm taking Wednesday off, so I think I'll be good. But you know, I mean, think about it. And maybe not everybody agrees, but I do think a lot of this stuff is relevant for career development and even education development. I was updating my resume last night and my CV, and I was like, wow, I've really done a lot. I did a lot during 2023. It didn't seem like it because I was complaining the whole time and taking more days off than I should have and doing everything in slow motion. But when I put it all down on paper, I was like, okay, yeah, I did a lot of stuff. So, well, that's going to be all for this morning. I'm going to see if I can rustle up some leftovers because I don't want to cook that much. But I'm going to see if there's some leftovers I can have for breakfast and get get it going.